in the middle of all this, there was a tweet, and that's the tweet that I want to talk about today. And the tweet said the following: "We live in a world where Joe Rogan's podcast has tripled the listeners as mine. Dear God."
Oh, dear God.
Dear God. Another thing came to my mind, did she do this purposely in order to get more people talking about it? I mean, we're here. We're talking about it. Think about that. I didn't know she had a podcast. You didn't know she had a podcast. Now, because of this tweet, we know.
Welcome to another episode of the Creative Spin Podcast. Buckle up. You're in for a show.
All right. Welcome to another Creative Spin Podcast. How you doing, Anna?
I'm doing great. How are you?
The usual, living the dream.
That's very good.
And getting ready for another episode.
That's a great goal.
This is what we do. It's crazy. I know.
I
was thinking about doing a podcast on something else, and then I was, always reading stuff online.
For sure.
Especially things to do with what I work with, in terms of design, and then podcasting and videography and all of that stuff. And obviously, if you're into the podcasting world, one of the things that kind of came up in the last 24 hours was the fact that there was some words were exchanged through the social medias, and it got me thinking, right? It got me thinking, and that's basically why I decided to,
It inspired
It inspired me. I decided to just dive into this topic because I want to actually get into a topic not in a controversial way, which is kind of what the news was all about. And what was the news, you might ask?
Yeah, I was going to. What are we talking about?
We're talking about a comment that was made on Twitter by Alyssa Milano. I don't know if you remember her from back in the 80s and 90s and all that. Yeah, a couple of shows she did that.
I only actually remember her from Who's the Boss. But okay.
She did quite a few. She guest starred in quite a few of the 90s and even 2000s. A lot of series on TV, and she did quite a few movies as well. Anyways, now she's got a podcast too, so which is great. But the controversial tweet
I was gonna say
was the fact that in the middle of all of these, she went in a little bit of a rant that day, and going against Trump and his ideas and things that are happening in the world. Which, in that sense, I can't really go against her. But in the middle of all this, there was a tweet, and that's the tweet that I want to talk about today. And the tweet said the following: "We live in a world where Joe Rogan's podcast has tripled the listeners as mine. Dear God."
Oh, dear God.
Dear God. And this is the thing. And full disclosure, I do listen to Joe Rogan a lot.
Yeah, you do.
I like his podcasts.
Me too.
Are they all good? No. Are they all bad? No.
He's
just
genuine. What I like about him is that he's very genuine.
I agree.
Right?
And so, but what I want to do is dig into this comment and dig into what social media and what the online presence has brought up in today's society. And that's the topic I want to touch on today, and hopefully give it a good spin and not dive into the negativity and all of that stuff. So, so before we dive into this whole social media trolls and negativity and positivity as well,
it's too heavy, man.
Just wanted to cough and talk a little bit about our sponsor of our podcast, Workplace One. So essentially, I mean, we've been a part of Workplace One for, I think now 3-4 years? 4 years? Something like that. Anyways, Workplace One is a company offering boutique, private offices, co-working spaces, and virtual office solutions, as well as meeting rooms in the best neighborhoods of Toronto and Kitchener-Waterloo. That's what the script really says. And this is actually true. Yeah. We usually go to the Queen West location because that's kind of like the location we chose for ourselves. But man, all the other locations are so cool. They're very different from each other in terms of decor, in terms of the way that they're kind of laid out. But they all have really, really good taste. So essentially, this is a place where if you're basically an entrepreneur or you have a company, it can accommodate anyone from like a one-man show to a 100-man show, because that's how flexible they can be in terms of the spaces that they have.
And if
within
you
themselves.
are someone like me that needs sometimes a quiet space, you can, again, it's the perfect place for you as well.
And even if you want to have a meeting, they have gorgeous boardrooms. We actually record a lot of our shows in the boardrooms as well.
And that's what I like about it. Like I can just sit there for the day and be
Hopefully
very productive.
We'll be going back soon because of this whole COVID situation. We haven't been there a lot. So yeah, I mean, if you guys have a business and you're looking for a space, I mean, look no further. This is the ideal kind of space that you should be looking at, especially in today's world. I think this is a perfect solution for all this stuff. If you want more information, I mean, just head over to their website. It's workplace1.com. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's really good. Really like it.
So now that we've done our due diligence when it comes to our sponsors, let's dive into this. I mean, okay, let's tackle this comment, this tweet that Alyssa Milano made and put out to the world about. Let's dissect this. So she not only criticizes someone else's job, work. She kind of positions herself in a way that I'm way better than him.
It's very condescending.
Why aren't people, because of that dear God comment, that those two little words at the end kind of put her in that position. And that's what got to me. That's what got to me.
That's wrong,
because
in my opinion.
I think so too. And I don't know if whoever's listening has the same opinion or not. And I guess, you know what? Anybody can have their opinion, and that's fine. And I'm not against that. But you need to know how to embrace everybody's opinion. And you need to know how to respect everybody's opinion. And this is the lack of respect I saw on this tweet is what got me going. And it's why I wanted to change the whole topic of the podcast today to this, because I felt like this was such a shitty way of expressing yourself to the world. I mean,
and it got to you because it's not the first one. It's not new. We are being bombarded with people that, God forbid, you have a different opinion from them. So I now am at this point, and it gets me going, this topic too.
Yeah.
Research the meaning and definition of opinion. I do not need to agree with you. It's okay. Agree to disagree, as we usually say.
Agree to disagree. And I think that why... there might be a hidden why behind this comment as well. Because after that, you know me, I start doing my research and I start seeing, what's out there and what's been said, what hasn't been said. And obviously, there was one podcast last year in which Joe Rogan made a little comment about what Alyssa was doing at the time. And it was just like a little comment, but... it was his opinion. It was his opinion on the topic, which, you know what? He's entitled to his opinion. She's entitled to her opinion. And that might have been what kind of stirred this. But it took a
year for her to react?
Well, you know what? Things keep bubbling in you, right? And I think what I want to tackle is the fact of why are people only basing themselves on the negative side of things? If you have a problem with someone, just pick up the phone, DM them, do whatever you need to do and try to get in contact with them. I know sometimes it's not really that easy or that possible, but you try to solve that problem. But I think by continuing to
why bring it to the public?
Exactly. But you're allowing that to kind of burn you from the inside and then coming public, like you're saying. I think that's where it's wrong, man. And this is where I'm seeing social media is such a great, amazing tool that I'm finding that lately it's been just toxic. Corrupting itself.
It's toxic.
And you know, before we hit the record buttons here, we were talking about it, and you said, you know what, comments shouldn't be allowed because the comment section is the worst.
I was so passionate about it, right?
You know, you put a tweet out, but no comments.
Then I realized that that's a bit too drastic.
Yeah, because I mean that's not the point. We have freedom of speech. We should be allowed to say what we want to say. I think this is a much bigger issue than just the comment section, because in the comment section you will find people that are going to be commenting in a positive way. So if you just disconnect it, then you're not giving a voice to the positive side either.
And you're absolutely right. And where that came out without me thinking, and that again brings me to the critical thinking aspect of all this conversation.
Here we go, teacher talk.
No, but the reason why I just said that, and then I'm like, okay, backtrack. But the reason why I said that, it's because 90% of the comments I usually see to news, to whatever, are very negative. And if you do not agree, like I said, with someone, usually, you know, let me just say, I like the color red. Mm-hmm. So instead of saying, oh, it's a nice color, you know, I'm more into the yellows or the blues or whatever. No, it's so.
Red sucks, man.
You know? So what do you have against blue? Nothing. I just prefer
it's the opinions. You know? And I think people are so passionate about their opinions, which is good.
Respect it.
But you need to respect other people's opinions as well. No. And just because you think a certain way, it doesn't mean that is absolutely 100,000% correct.
And do not bash people. Do not be condescending.
Because you don't know where people are coming from either. Exactly. Right? And that's...
And for me, like... To see that people, instead of having a conversation, and this takes me back to the time when I was a student, one of the main things we used to do in university was trying to find, you know, there you go, the critical thinking aspect.
Yeah.
Question what is being presented. You may end up agreeing. You may start from a point where you do not agree with that person. And then as the conversation, that's what conversation is all about, evolves, you're like, oh, I didn't see that aspect. You're right. You know, I end up agreeing with you. Or I can say I still reserve my opinion as whatever. But, and you said this when we were talking about it, it just means that you have an educated conversation about your opinion, my opinion. We're done talking. Let's go for a coffee. Let's whatever, right?
Yeah, and I think people are too quick on criticizing and judging instantly. People are bottling in these all this stress and all this aggressiveness.
Where is that coming from? That's my question.
And they're bottling up and this crazy competition aspect of life nowadays that I need to be better than this guy. I need to have more views. I need to have more likes. I need to have more followers. Holy shit, man. Like, relax.
And again, one of the things I love about Joe Rogan, since we're talking about this, is what I said at the beginning. He's so genuine. He is himself.
And it's funny you're saying that, because you're not even, like, you haven't probably listened to a full podcast of this. You only catch the stuff that I'm...
Exactly. Yeah, whenever you... Because they're so long. I usually don't have time to listen to all of them, right?
But funny enough, but the thing that you got from his podcast is that he's genuine.
He is genuine. He's himself. I
and
actually
that's probably why the guy has, what is it now, 9 million followers on
crazy,
on YouTube or something like that. And I don't know how many views he's getting on all of the platforms, but it's crazy.
What I love the most about him is that he's himself. He does not care if you agree with him or not. It really doesn't faze him
and he gives his own opinion.
Yeah, and then he'll respond whenever he needs to. But again, does he lose sleep over it? I highly doubt it.
I don't think so. think so. And one of the other things that I like is really the fact that he constantly admits on the air, like when he's having a podcast, that his kind of like thing is like, I'm a dumbass. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what this is, but this is my opinion.
It's very contrary at when I see.
He's
very smart man.
I think so, but he still doesn't put himself into that position where he's, I'm over here talking about this because I know a lot about this stuff, and you guys got to listen to me. That's not what he does.
He's humble.
He's humble about that.
And I think that's where people are wrong.
And those
where
are the
Alyssa's
values.
Are wrong.
Actually, I made a very small little list of values that have been lost or are losing traction in today's society and today's social media. And being humble is on the top of my list here because this is what I did not see on that comment. And this is what I think that Alyssa is actually lacking is a bit of humility in saying, you know what, let me do my job. Exactly. He can do his job and he can have his opinion. I can have my opinion. I don't need to mix that.
Judge. Let the people choose.
Exactly. And that's, what you're saying is so true. Like, I also listen a lot to Gary Vee's podcast. And that's one of the things that he keeps on saying. Your audience is what's going to judge if the product or if your company, or in this case, if your podcast is better or not. Yeah. I can sit here and I can think we're doing an amazing job. And by the way, we are. It's freaking amazing. Hit that subscribe button. But
so much for being humble.
But the bottom line is that if whatever we're doing here in my head sounds great and I think is amazing,
do it.
But if the public doesn't agree with it, they're not going to watch. They're not going to listen.
And that's fine. That doesn't mean you're going to say,
that's it.
So-and-so has more, oh, dear God, whatever it is that she said.
They're going to, it is what it is.
Is she envious of him?
I don't know.
Does this come from a place of envy and jealousy? That's wrong.
But those are all negative feelings,
exactly.
Right? Where is the humility part?
Yeah.
Where are you going to stand and saying, you know what? I'm here. I have a podcast. Joe has a podcast. If you don't want to say good things about him, don't say anything at all.
Don't say anything at all.
Stop with the negativity. That's what I'm trying to get to. Because the other thing, like I don't know if you agree with these values that I put here on my little notebook, but humility, top of the list. Being kind to people. Being nice to people.
But don't just say it, show it.
Exactly. Don't just try to be nice in front of the camera.
I'm thinking of another story about kindness, but
okay,
it's another podcast. It's another podcast.
Another word that's being kicked around a lot, and I agree with, there's a need for more of it, is empathy.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
These all work together.
Yeah, they're part of the same.
And the last little bullet that I have is positivity, right? Which, when you think about it,
that should be number one because that's who you are. For you, that should be hand in hand with being humble.
I know, but I feel like all of these points and many others, any point that is positive here, I think they all work together. And what stresses me out is when I see tweets like Alyssa's, when I see comments like everybody else online. It is freaking insane, man. Like, the fact that you can't say anything without having all the negative comments. Yeah, and that's another dangerous point, is because now people that have a voice or that have something that they want to talk about, they're now afraid to speak.
So the bullies are getting what they want. They don't want you to speak.
Well, I think it's more like the people who are against the bullies, right? Because they are going against people that are against certain groups or certain whatevers.
It's crazy.
Are now becoming the bullies because now they're not allowing other voices to come out and say what they need to say. Yeah. And this is where oh my God.
And this is something we try to teach our kids. Whenever one of them is saying something, the other one says, "Oh, just shut up." And we say, "No." But they're joking, but you are teaching them.
That's so much the mom side.
They will, but it's true because they will grow up being this way if you don't teach people, right? Where it's nice, where you're in mid-sentence and I'm like, "Shut up, don't say anything." No.
Yeah. It's allowing the other person to speak. I mean, this is common sense.
The voice, like you're taking that person and saying, "You're meaningless to me."
Yeah.
You're not allowing that person to have a voice.
Now, with this subject, and because this is what started the thing, this tweet, this is what started our podcast, another thing came to my mind. Did she do this purposely in order to get more people talking about it? I mean, we're here, we're talking about this.
But it's negative. I don't want that kind of...
I know, but in a twisted mind or way of thinking, could that have been the case of trying to get more viewers or more listeners to go on to her channel? Because I'll tell you what, I actually went to her channel. I went to see. Okay, I had never heard her podcast before we got onto this podcast. I actually listened to.
I didn't even know she had one.
Half of a podcast. I'm going to be very fucking honest. I did not like it because it's not my kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. And again, and it's fair.
But I have to say, It's very well put together.
There you
I
go.
mean, from an editing perspective, from all of that, it's well put together. Like it's got the structure. It's a well put together podcast when it comes to the editing and possibly even the points that she talks about. Again, I didn't listen to to a lot of them. I listened to half of an episode, and I want to make that clear that my opinion is based on that little bit that I heard. But for me, from who I am and
It
for
just didn't do
what
it
I
for
like
you.
to listen to, didn't do anything for me.
So that begs the question, if that was exactly what she had in mind, let me create, attention. Okay, you looked into it. Will you continue to listen to it?
No, because not for like I'm not upset at her because she said that because I like Joe Rogan's. No, it's not. It has nothing to do with that.
It's just not your.
It's just not my
type
style.
It's
just not my style.
For
That's
one,
it.
I didn't even know she had a
I
podcast,
didn't know either.
Right. So now that I know,
so that begs that to differ. There, like think about that. I didn't know she had a podcast. You didn't know she had a podcast. Now because of this tweet, we know.
But I'm not interested in downloading one single one of them based on what I heard from you. Like I will not. And again, I'm not putting it down. Her topics do not interest me.
Yeah, I went through the episode topics and all of that. It didn't really call my attention.
But maybe others will like it and maybe she will get more attention. It's still wrong the way she approached it.
So you think that if she was, so in your opinion, if she was trying to do this so that in some way she would get more attention and more eyeballs and more ears, I guess, on her podcast, do you think it was a good choice?
No. If you wanted that, and if you wanted to, I'm so passionate about it.
I know, you're so passionate. You try not to eat the microphone because then, in post-production, I'm going to have such a hard time like leveling your voice up because it seems like you're here and there and everywhere. So
no.
Your opinion.
No. My opinion, if you really wanted to call the attention for your podcast and you wanted to use Joe Rogan, send him an email saying, listen, I have a podcast. Would you mind being a guest on my podcast? And we can talk
or vice versa.
Or can I be a guest on your podcast?
Yeah.
That would have been I think, in my opinion, the smart way to do it.
Yeah.
And maybe she would get more listeners and a lot better reviews because her reviews are 1 star, 1 star, 1 star today.
Well, hold on. Okay, now we're talking about, this is the effect that you're going to get because
I was getting there, yeah.
She basically, quote unquote, attacked, quote unquote. I'm not saying she did. She just wrote something. But anybody that watches or listens to Joe's show is a completely different type of person that would listen to her show. So right from the get-go, you're going to get people going to your show and saying, you suck. Because
and I was getting there, yeah.
And now the bad reviews. I don't, again, now I do not feel like that is the right thing to do either.
Absolutely.
I don't think just because now you feel like your friend Joe got attacked, you need to go on the defensive side and
I
attack.
don't think he would want that. I don't think he's the kind of person
No, I don't think so too. I might be very wrong, but I don't think so too. And I don't think it's right now for people to just bluntly go on to her podcast and give her 1-star reviews so that it can kind of that can cripple her as as an entrepreneur. Or
not just that, you are using the same tactics.
Exactly.
Be the better person.
And you're just being the same kind of person.
That's what I was getting.
So, I mean, for the 3 people that are watching and listening to us right now, don't do it, man. And it's like, don't go onto her podcast and be a shit disturber and just be bad like that, because then you're just going to be exactly what we're criticizing, which is being and focusing only on the bad side of things. You know what? I am here to say that I want to be an advocate for all the good stuff. I want to be able to in this podcast, interview and talk to people that want to talk about positivity, want to talk about being, all the nice things that they've done to other people, how they grew their business the right way without scamming people, without doing any of the bad stuff. Without bashing, without stealing, without all of the negative stuff. So I want to make sure that I do my part. And hopefully, the 3 people that are watching us right now, I know who you are. I hope that you guys do the same thing wherever you guys do, and in social or wherever it is on a day-to-day. You don't need to go out and always keep saying, oh, today I did a good thing. That's not the point.
No, because that becomes not authentic.
Exactly. That's you trying to show off that you're being nice. Yeah. And that's where I think people need to realize that that's not the right way to do it. And
if I may just add something else.
Yes, you may.
If, instead of going back to this, if you are so... See, for me, when I look at someone like Joe Rogan, since we're mentioning this, I don't feel envy. I don't feel jealousy. I don't hate the guy for being famous. He inspires me. How hard did you work to get there? Because I want to work hard to have my own accomplishments too. So whenever I see someone being very accomplished, whether it's famous or whatever the case may be, that person becomes a role model for me. Exactly.
What was the struggle that they had to go through in order to get to the point that they are?
Mm-hmm. How many hours of sleep did he lose over this? How do you know how hard this guy works? You think it just drops from the sky?
Yeah. People have that perception a lot of times. I think people do have that perception.
It's always greener on the other side.
It's always greener. It's always easier on the other side. But they forget that he's been working at this for 10 plus years, I think. Multiple podcasts a week. While he's working,
really hard.
While he's doing his comedy thing, while he's
a family man,
he's got his family, he's got his other things that he doesn't even talk about because we don't need to know.
That doesn't mean it's easy for him.
But life is complicated for everybody, and it's going to be complicated for him as well. So this man put a lot of hard time and sweat and work into this podcast. It is now picking up like wildfire, and good for him.
And he deserves it.
I think more and more people should be looking at what he's done and trying to figure out, don't copy. Don't fucking copy.
Look up
because
to him.
That's cheating. You look up to him and figure out, okay, you know what? This is really something I like to do.
What's my angle? Yeah.
What can I do about it? What can I talk about? And find your passion. Don't go find his passion. Don't go find whoever's passion. And
that's another topic.
That's another topic on itself. People who copy other people just fucking. See,
you're swearing a lot today.
I know. I'm even.
This got to you.
It's gotten to me. I'm swearing. I'm punching the mic. This is.
I'm glad because you were just criticizing me for being so passionate. See.
I think I'm gonna stop this podcast at this point because I'm getting way too passionate, and I think we need to record the other topic as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whew! I've been gone.
You okay?
Oh man, I'm stressed out, man.
You shouldn't be.
I know.
The podcast should be a cool down, relax. We enjoy because you and I talk about this all the time. We just turn on the mics now.
It gets to me, man. It gets to me because I sometimes I feel that towards myself as well, towards our work, and it sucks, dude. It sucks that people only see the grass that's greener on the other side, and I hate seeing people that have a public poll that have a couple of million people following them saying shit like this. Like, what are you accomplishing by doing stuff like this? What are you accomplishing by saying, oh my God, look at that guy. Why does he? Oh, I'm much better. Why aren't people listening to me? Like, that's so stupid, so low for you to say as a person. I mean, you're 47 years old.
Yeah,
you should.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a little bit of a conscience
wrong.
At this point.
I could be wrong about this, but I feel like this is going to backfire for big time.
Absolutely. Anyways.
In my opinion, it was not smart.
Let's stop this. Let's continue on to another topic that we're going to record right after this one. Guys, if you've enjoyed this one, you know what? I'm going to be so hypocritical right now and just say, hit that button. After criticizing people, no. Just do whatever you want to do. I don't really care. I just hope that we're bringing...
It would be nice.
It would be really nice. But I just hope that we're bringing a little bit of value, a little bit of smiles on your beautiful face, and that you're enjoying this little bit of time that you're spending with us. And yeah, that's it. So let's get the hell out of here.
Sure.
We got other stuff to do. So
yes, we do.
Catch you guys on the next one.